Well, folks, today we're going to talk about and try to explain liberal logic. We watched this week as the FAA was essentially grounding every plane in America because of a disaster in their system, something that was totally overlooked by our transportation secretary and the FAA and all of the insanity. And now I'm finding out some of the things that they've prioritized there. We'll get into that in another video. But don't worry, folks. They may not be able to keep our systems running, but they're definitely working on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we'll save that one for a little bit later. But Lauren Boebert pointed out yesterday that every plane in America is currently grounded due to a system error. Mayor Pete Bravo, this is what happens when you hire a clueless liberal for jobs that they aren't qualified to do. And I'm watching the liberals go insane, replying back, Secretary Buttigieg is a Rhodes Scholar and he went to Harvard and Oxford and yada, 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 yada. So what? Does that make him qualified to be transportation secretary? He did really well in school. Maybe he's actually intelligent, right? Nuclear physicists are intelligent. You may not allow them to perform brain surgery. Both of those things require incredible intelligence, level, attention to detail, but it doesn't matter. And this is the insanity of the argument. Just because you're a Rhodes Scholar or you went to Harvard or Oxford doesn't qualify you for anything necessarily. How many academic teachers are there that would get crushed in the real world? Sure, they can teach. Doesn't mean they can do. It might mean they're intelligent and smart and they may have a very high IQ. That doesn't translate into action. How many people have you seen that are super successful because they know how to get things done? How many people have accomplished incredible things in life that didn't go to Harvard or these places? How many of the Harvard dropouts that didn't need that degree have created multi-billion-dollar businesses? You read about it all the time. Having the degree doesn't qualify you for anything. But the obsession with credentials in our country is exactly what the left's about. We literally went through the last few years, okay? I mean, we'll look back at literally the last few years where, and J.D. Vance points this out incredibly well, people with really, really, really fancy degrees from incredible institutions that would be leaders in academia implemented disastrous public health policies, things that crushed our economy. They implemented plenty of disastrous or probable medical decisions, at least in my opinion, okay? The presence of a degree from a great institution should not and really can't win an argument. We've seen that now, right? The brightest minds have said this. How many of them were right? And yet your idiot conspiracy theorists that the left would call, right? Every one of them, they seem to have nailed it so much better than all the geniuses, right? The geniuses in media because they're incredibly intelligent, like if they worked at CNN. I don't know, folks. Doesn't seem to get much, but that's the argument. They want you to be subservient to these people because they checked off a couple boxes or they could afford to go to school or they went to school for 15 years rather than actually doing. Doesn't qualify you for anything, as evidenced by the results.